Holy smokes. I like that. As far as
wow.
That
is absolutely wild.
That is a surprising one.
Yes.
Dude. Let's go.
Wow.
Oh, man, the Ohio State product.
With Matthew Golden still on the clock, Emeka Egbuka. Silky smooth wide receiver, solid.
Very polished route runner.
Yeah.
He looked almost most NFL ready out of all the top wide receivers. I mean that seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, he had been doing it for a very long time at Ohio State.
Yeah.
He's a national champion, can run any route. Quarterbacks love throwing him the fade as well. Yeah, some similarities to Chris Godwin, played in the Big Ten. And now the Bucs have an embarrassment of riches at the wide receiver position. You have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan was one of their third-round picks last year. And then you add Egbuka this year, their first-round pick at 19. Their first
I'm stunned.
Wide receiver taken in the first round since Mike Evans.
Here's the thing. I wanted a defensive lineman. There's going to be another there's going to be an edge rusher taken by the Buccaneers. Maybe it's Olawufemi Oladejo on day 2. If you go back to the Super Bowl year in 2020, Matt, what did we see? We saw 4 weapons on the field that could not be stopped. You had a quarterback in Tom Brady that had Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and a Hall of Fame caliber tight ends, Hall of Famer and future Hall of Famer, and Rob Gronkowski. You had a guy with Hall of Fame credentials, not a Hall of Fame character, in Antonio Brown. I talked to several defensive legends, coaches, etc., that have told me throughout the years, you can take away 2 targets. And we saw that happen in 2022 when Antonio Brown was no longer on this team, when Rob Gronkowski had retired. We saw the Bucs plummet from 30 points per game to 18 points per game.
That they did.
Even with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Why? Because defenses can take away 2 targets. Very good defenses, great defenses can take away 3. There is not a defense out there that can take away 4 targets. When you've got 4 starting caliber elite type players, and I'm not saying Jalen McMillan's elite yet, and I'm not saying Emeka Egbuka is elite yet, but if he lives up to his draft billing, and we've seen some real promising signs from Jalen McMillan, then you have, for your $100 million man, Baker Mayfield, you have got 4 weapons. And we heard Todd Bowles say this at the NFL annual meeting. He can figure out how to slow teams down. And we even saw the explosive Commanders offense only score 23 points against the Buccaneers in that playoff loss at Raymond James Stadium to Washington, who went on to the NFC Championship game. But the Commanders, like the Buccaneers, were averaging 30 points per game. Tampa Bay only scored 20. The Commanders only had 20. This is without Jim Eld even being on the field. And it took that final drive for them to get 23 points. So we've seen a situation where Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Jalen McMillan all were out for that Kansas City game.
They were.
And the Buccaneers last year were 0-4 against the likes of the Baltimore Ravens, the Atlanta Falcons, Kansas City Chiefs, and the San Francisco 49ers during that stretch without Mike and Chris. The Buccaneers cannot allow that to happen again. Happiest man in the building right now is Josh Grizzard, if not Baker Mayfield.
Well, you're going to think that came into play for sure, that Josh Grizzard, the first-time play caller for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, gets another weapon on that side of the football. And it is clear and evident there is a succession plan for the Bucs at wide receiver. As we've talked about, Mike Evans isn't going to play for, the next 10 years. Chris Godwin just signed a new contract, but, he's getting older a little bit. So with the pick of McMillan last year, and specifically right now this year with Egbuka over at 19, Emeka Egbuka, they have a plan in place for the future of this offense, even if Mike Evans eventually is not involved. He's still very much involved right now. This is a 1,000-yard receiver. He did it twice in his career, once in 2022, Egbuka I'm talking about, and then he did it last year in 2023 2004 when he won a national championship with Ohio State as well. Had 1,011 receiving yards, averaged 12.48 yards per reception, and had 10 touchdowns. He can track the ball extremely well. He's a quarterback-friendly wide receiver, has a big radius to get him the football. He's not like the biggest or the strongest type of guy, but he knows how to get open. He's one of those guys that floats in the air like I was talking about with Matthew Golden. But Ohio State wide receivers, they tend to do pretty well in the NFL if you look at some of the other guys that have been drafted recently. So a little bit of a surprise with Emeka Egbuka, but no doubt about it. Certainly you got to trust Jason Light. Certainly a ton of talent. So he's the newest Tampa Bay Buccaneer, picked 19th overall by Tampa Bay.